Welcome to episode 85 of About the Cards podcast, live tonight on YouTube. As always, with me, my host, Stephen Loeffler, Junkwax Twins, is not here tonight. He's on the DL with the monkey flu, so we don't have him tonight. We have Mike Summer, at the Mike Summer, in the lineup tonight, replacing him, leading us off tonight. Ben Wilson at our trading cards, and I'm Tim Shepler at Big Shep 79. We are podcast by collectors for collectors. I'm going to bring you a smart and insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting. We're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific,
10 Central,
on YouTube, Periscope, and Facebook Live. And we can always follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. We're available as a podcast everywhere, and check out the website about thecards.wordpress.com. I'm just checking here, fellas. I don't see the show going live here. Do you? I want to make sure we're all good there.
Yeah, I see it on YouTube.
Is it on live on YouTube?
I believe so.
All right, cool. Well, it's just me then. So tonight we're going to have a special guest. Layton Sheldon from Vintage Breaks is going to hop on with us and hang out with us early here in the show. I think we have him ready to go. So we'll go ahead and bring him in.
I'm not seeing it live either on YouTube, guys.
Steph says it's good to go.
All right.
All I see with Layton is white.
There we go. We'll pull him back out here. But so, Mike, I appreciate last second hopping in with us tonight.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to do it.
I love you being able to come in and give us a hand and when Steph's down. And, Mike's part of the Hobby Hotline, if you guys aren't familiar. The first episode, the debut episode, was last Saturday. I think it went pretty well. Ben and I were on there with Drew Herndon and Val Mars. And then Mike hopped in at some point. John Newman hopped in. It was pretty great. So it was good to see everybody, kind of get out there and hang out with us. So, but all right, man, we're ready to rock and roll. Layton's here. So we have Leighton Sheldon on, the owner of Just Collect and Vintage Breaks, with us tonight. How are you doing tonight, bud?
Oh, very well. How are you gentlemen doing?
Outstanding. I appreciate making some time for us to come out and hang out with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. You guys hear me okay?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
sounds great. I've been a big fan from afar watching the breaks on YouTube. Sometimes I'm at work and you guys come on, and I think the first real time I sat down and just disregarded work a bunch, you guys were doing 86, 87 Fleer packs.
Oh, I remember that break very well.
Those were amazing. And my boss came in and goes like, "What are you doing?" I showed him. He's like, and he just sat down, pulled up a chair, and we hung out for like 20 minutes and just watched cards being pulled. And I think a handful of Jordans were pulled out. And I mean, it was just fantastic to see. And I was showing him the prices of the cards, and he was mesmerized because he thought, baseball cards are all junk now. And I was like, not these guys.
Not these particular ones, that's for sure.
Not at all. So why don't you give us a little background on Vintage Breaks, what you guys do over there, and kind of walk us through what it's like when someone hops in a break with you.
Sure, absolutely. So first off, do you folks need me to hold the phone up so you can see me live on here, or is audio just okay? Because I wasn't sure what the case was.
Whatever you want to do. I mean, we're
because it'd be easier. Yeah, I'd like to pull up some stuff on my computer. It might be easier to chat like that. Okay,
that's
great.
Fine.
Cool. So we started Vintage Breaks a few years ago. You could find our website at vintagebreaks.com. You, of course, could find us on YouTube and watch us live and hang out with us at youtube.com/vintagebreaks. And, of course, if you prefer, you can always find us on Facebook as well under Vintage Breaks. We find these days that more folks watch us on YouTube for whatever reason or another than Facebook. But either way, I think what's really great about our community is whether it be you have no money, you have $1, or you got $100, or anything in between or more, you can enjoy the opening of packs, the camaraderie amongst, the fellow collectors, some more casual than others, and some are there for the entertainment. And then you have the 180-degree opposite of they're totally hardcore card people, and, they just focus on the cards, and there's kind of everything else in between. And so what we do is we open up old packs of cards, old boxes of cards, and in some cases we break up old sets. And then we do what we'll call a graded hit random, which we could talk about later on if you folks would like, where we take a group of vintage cards that are all graded, but everything's transparent. So, the big hits, very obvious. The $10 loser hit's very obvious. So you decide for yourself if, for example, a $75 buy-in is worth it for you to receive a graded card once everything sells out. You would get it, during our live YouTube broadcast in a random fashion, if you will. But getting back to the basics, one of the most exciting packs we ever opened was a 1955 Bowman Cello pack. We did that at this point a couple years ago, live at the National on the main stage in Cleveland, Ohio. We were having a ton of fun all week, and we actually had that pack with us, believe it or not, folks, for a year on our website. We were still very new. We were selling spots for $500, which at that point was the most expensive break we had ever done. It was possible that you could get, an Ernie Banks, a Hank Aaron second year, Mickey Mantle, so on and so forth. Well, it sold out shortly before the National. We opened it. We ended up pulling a Mickey Mantle second card to last. And kind of the rest is history in the sense that really helped propel us, both in terms of notoriety, people understanding a little bit more that vintage breaks, not just the company, but people were actually opening up old packs of cards. They thought it was really cool. And so, like I said, what's amazing about our community is we have some folks that just come hang out. They enjoy watching the breaks, and they don't really ever buy a spot. And then, of course, the extreme opposite where folks, if you will, they buy a personal, meaning they buy a personal pack, they buy a personal box, and they want to have every pack in that box or every card in that break. But I think that the sweet spot for us is, if you want to participate in a 1977 Topps baseball pack and you want to go on eBay or a trusted seller like Steve Hart and spend a few $100s, you certainly can go ahead and do that. You can open it in the confines of your own home. Maybe if you'd like to enjoy a glass of wine or a beer or, frankly, nothing at all, and you just want to open the pack and see what cards you need for your collection or if there's anything high grade. But point being is kind of everyone has their niche and their budget. And so we took that experience and we made it communal and we lowered the price substantially so that you didn't actually have to spend a few $100s to buy an entire pack. Maybe in this 1977 case, you could buy a spot from us for $20 or $25. You get that card delivered to you, of course, for that price. But then, more importantly, you get to share in the experience of that pack being opened. And of course, cheering for your fellow collectors and spectators, if you will, to cheer to get good cards and hopefully get things that they enjoy. So hopefully that I was short and got right to it, but that's ultimately what we do, and we have a good time doing it.
Yeah, we shared the photo here. I'll pull it back up. I did a screen grab of the second it was pulled, and your reaction is perfect on the card, and then the audio was just it blew. Like Steph, who's normally on with us, he's out tonight ill, but he was there, and he said you could hear it across the entire National. Anybody who's been in the National, I mean, you're in an airplane hangar type thing, and he said everybody it was like everybody knew something had happened.
I was a little embarrassed, frankly.
But it's the pure enjoyment. I mean, that's
pretty wild.
That's the 12-year-old kid and all of the collectors.
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
Pull that.
Good call.
And it came out graded with like a 9. So I mean, it's like one of the great. I mean, just a ridiculous. First, the pack was still available to open, right?
Yeah.
Crazy to think of. Like, where do you find a pack of 55 Bowman to open?
Sure. So I like to kind of say out in the wild. But, the truth is, I have a network of folks that, whether it be their auction houses, their collectors, their dealers, Steve Hart, there was just a big find today. I don't know if you gentlemen heard, 7 1986 Fleer basketball boxes were found in the Midwest in a storage unit. They've now been authenticated by Steve Hart. They're being sold, I believe, most, if not all of them, through Golden Auctions, made the discovery. So, the point is that they really can kind of come from anywhere. You just have to be careful and know what you're doing, know what to look for in terms of, packs being legitimate, boxes being good. And it's a little bit different with the modern arena, although I'm sure, there's things that are nefarious that happen there as well. But my point being is I would imagine if a box is sealed by Panini or Topps and it has the shrink wrap and the logo, you should be able to tell if someone's kind of tried to reapply it, if you will.
Sure.
But that being said, it's pretty wild that, there's finds of, those epic proportions, still happening. And then kind of to shift gears for just a minute to the other company that I own, which is Just Collect. There's still ungraded, card finds happening, meaning of the vintage style. We just sent our VP, Scott Alpaugh, out to Chicago last Friday, and we bought a nice little collection from a father and his son out in the Chicago area. The highlight of that collection was, probably about 50 or so 1933 Gaudis, all ungraded. but there were 2 Babe Ruths. There was 1 Lou Gehrig. We're, of course, going to have everything slabbed, low to mid-grade on everything, but, dozens of Hall of Famers.
It exists.
They had cards from the 50s, 60s, and yes, exactly. It exists, and I'll tell you what, I'm not here to say, hey, we have this great stuff, and, you can't have it or you can't find it. No, quite the opposite. I believe in bringing value to people, much in the way that, whether it be Gary Vee or what you folks are trying to do on your podcast, give people entertainment, but also bring them value. You realize that this can happen to you. And what I mean is, if you're a collector with some means, whether it be modest or more, and you're, trying to find, whether it be a small group of Gaudies or 7 boxes of 86 Fleer, you just have to think about it and understand that no matter how hard you try, Golden Auctions, REA, Heritage, Just Collect, we're not going to find everything no matter what. It doesn't work like that. So what I've advised people, for example, on our Vintage Breaks PSA show and a little bit of Just Collect is, become known as the guy in your community, in your town, at the Dunkin' Donuts who's always talking about baseball cards in the morning. I just opened a pack of this, or I just found that, or I just bought this for my collection. And I'm telling you, whether it be it's months, it's days, it's years, it will happen. You'll find something. It doesn't happen by accident. Hard work is exactly that. It takes, real effort to find these collections, but they are out there. And that's, for me, a lot of the fun is the treasure hunt.
Yeah.
Well, just a quick follow-up with that, Leighton. I've built up a reputation as the A's guy on Twitter and a few other places, and
That's cool.
People reach out to me when they have something A's.
Sure.
So, it's a small portion of what you're talking about. If I had come across, say a box of that in my dad's storage, I know a lot of people that I probably could turn to and go, look what I just got. But you're probably one of the leading people I would reach out to and say, look, point me in the right direction so that I'm not going to get misled or even do something with you directly, and
absolutely.
And
well, listen, yeah, I agree.
Is there any apprehension on opening packs that, like a 55 pack, of Bowman? You guys, all these older packs you're going through, and in the way you take care of the cards when you're opening them, and you take your time and you make sure that once they're pulled that you're taking care of that card. But as you're opening that pack, what's that feeling like? What's that rush like when you're on camera and you're doing this? And
I would say certainly, I'd love to tell you, kind of to use a baseball analogy that, if you're in single A and you're getting a slower pitch, it's just the same at the major league level, but that would be a lie. Meaning, opening up an 83 Topps baseball pack is definitely fun for me. I love Bogsy and Gwen and Sandberg rookies just as much as probably you guys did. And for whatever it's worth, growing up, I call them screw case cards. Those were the kind of cards where I would put in the screw downs. I'd spend $1 or $2, carefully take care of them. And then I realized, like, why? Wow, all of my Tony Gwynn rookies are off-centered. And even though I didn't quite have a 10, I kind of got, to look for better cards. So kind of getting back to the pack and the rush, if you will. So I enjoy opening up 1983 Topps baseball packs very much. But I would tell you that when we opened up the 1955 Bowman, when we opened up stuff from the 60s, even to some extent the 70s, and maybe rare stuff in the 80s or 90s, like a 93 Finest baseball box, maybe fresh from the case, we were guaranteed a refractor, which, of course, all of us, or at least I did. I love those back then. I love them now even more so. But my point is that it's entertainment. And so, like, why do you watch your favorite TV show? You know that it's actually made up, right? If it's fiction, and you're just doing it for entertainment, right? Or why do we watch sports? It's totally different, but for entertainment, and you actually don't know what's going to happen. So for me, it's really the entertainment aspect of it, and the fact, frankly, I'm a baseball card nerd. So like I appreciate, forget about the value. I just know the chances of pulling that Mickey Mantle were really slim, and then even getting one that was really nice and centered and grading it high. I don't know if you guys knew, but it sold, I believe late last year at auction. It was PSA 9 graded, only one of a handful in existence. Of course, it was labeled the Vintage Breaks, live break from the National on the PSA slab, which is really cool. It sold for $60,000 at auction.
Wow.
So I don't keep track so well of the entire breaking landscape, but I got to imagine that's probably one of the bigger hits in history where you can prove, hey, this person paid X, they got Y, and it sold for Z. Subtract the two, and this is what they made.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tim's point earlier, what I love about watching your guys, whoever you have, opening your packs, whether it's you yourself, go back to the Darren Ravel, Jordan. I think you pulled.
Oh, I remember
Jordan
that. Yeah, It took 18 packs for us to get the first one. Man, I was sweating bullets.
But then they were like, "Oh, I know you were." And then when you got that first one, just the look on your face,
I was very pleased.
like Tim said, it was like the boom, and I felt it. We're out here in California. We felt it through the computer, and it's just like, thank God you guys pulled one because it's fun. That's what we were all anticipating. But all of the other ones that you're saying, well, if this one grades out to be a 10, it's going to be worth X, and it's just like, really?
There was a great history lesson with that because you knew like the way you were able to like to describe like the print run, like you knew a certain card was here, and this one of these guys should follow. Yeah. And this Vern Fleming is more sought after because of where there was a couple weird guys in that list that fell on the print sheet that you're like, hey, if you get a good one from this, then this is just as great as getting a Jordan because someone desperately needs this in a 10 because that's what they're building for a set, and it's a hard one to pull.
It's really important to keep in mind, I think, at least what we do at Vintage Breaks, especially when you're opening up, it's a little bit more obvious when you're opening a 1955 Bowman. But for example, take like a 1979 Topps baseball set. You might think you're just looking for, the obvious ones like the Ozzie or the Ryan or the Rose. I bet you there's commons these days that are still pop 3 or less, PSA 10, that if you had that kind of card and you sold it at 99-cent eBay auction, no reserve, would potentially sell for hundreds of dollars or not, if not more, meaning if it was a Yankee, if it was from a popular team or a minor star, it could be a lot more than a few $100. So my point is that, we take care of each and every card that comes out of the packs, and you really never know whether it be if someone's collecting it just for the set, for the player, for the value, for the investment, or frankly, like a hybrid of those.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's your favorite product to break what's the one that gets you the most excited when you have it come in and you're opening it?
I mean, I would say that if you call me tomorrow morning and we're like, I have 1933 Gaudy packs and boxes of cigarette cards that could contain T206s, like I would immediately book a flight anywhere in the world. And I didn't even care if I got to sell them, meaning and make money. I just want to be there for the opening of those packs.
You did that one of those with Darren Ravel, right?
We did something like that. We did something like that with Gary V.
It was Gary V. I saw one of them where it was Gary V. Where you
the
opened
tobacco packs,
the tobacco packs. And I was
pretty wild.
How mind blown? How does this exist? And that's what's so cool about it is these finds and they make it to your and then you get to publicize it and show it off was even cooler.
Yeah, no, we had a blast doing it. And actually, just to reminisce a little bit about Gary V and the experience opening those tobacco packs. So what happened was I think we had gone through maybe one or two. We were on the last one. And I explained to Gary that, there's no guarantee, forget about to get a tobacco card. There's no guarantee that there's even anything in here other than tobacco. So he looks at the last pack and he's like, I see something. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, we're really going to make history right here and now. This is unbelievable. Like, this guy's luck is just incredible. And then, I really believed that there was going to be, and it wasn't greedy. Like, I didn't think it was going to be a Cobb, right? But I thought it might be like a speaker, like something really great, in mint condition. And yeah, it was a coupon. A coupon meaning like submit, 50 of these and you get cheese and crackers. I mean, I'm making it up. It was nothing. It was absolutely pretty cool. Yes. Earth shattering and history making, no, but still really fun. Absolutely.
That's 12 seconds of you guys looking in that pack, kind of like what is it? It was amazing, especially, I've got some T206. I got most of the A's set. I'm missing the Eddie Plank.
That's all just the Plank?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. So I've got a complete. I got the E95 Caramel Eddie Plank, which was a 25 card.
Oh, no, I'm very familiar with the E95 Plank. Well, listen, that's a great card. It's the same image. It's a very famous image from that. Yeah.
It's just a little different as far as, so my set is complete with quotations.
That's great.
I will ever get to the T206. But when you guys are looking in there, I'm just like, oh, be one more Eddie Plank in print. I know that would get graded and it would be way out of my price range. But just, the simple fact that you guys had those packs sealed was incredible.
Yeah, no, we were fortunate. One of our Vintage Breaks, customers, viewers, kind of fans, friend, if you will. I'll tell you how it happened in 30 seconds. So I got a very, if you will, I wouldn't say it was anonymous because I knew Alex, from the community, but it was random, if you will. Hey, Layton, I bought these packs. I have an auction. Not sure if you saw the auction, so on and so forth. But, I'm thinking about opening them and, instead of me opening them, like, would you guys want to open them and share that with the community? And all I'm thinking is like, are you serious? Am I on Obviously. I mean, of course I would. So then we took some time because I wanted to make a big event of it, and found cross paths with Gary and his love of baseball cards and history, if you will. And so we hooked up and we opened the packs. And although we didn't find anything amazing, I wish I had it to show you on air. But we actually created. That's the way to put it, is a piece that we framed, and we gave it to Alex as a gift. And what I did was we took the fronts of each of the tobacco packs with all the great graphics. We took little pieces of the tobacco. We paid a framing company and an artist, if you will, to do this. And then we took a T206 of a polar bear, maybe a Piedmont and a sweet cap, and we basically framed it all in a nice collage. And it came out amazing. And so it's hanging in Alex's office. I'll get you folks, or maybe I'll tweet about it tomorrow. It's definitely on my phone. Awesome. It's a great image. Frankly, Alex, if you're listening, if you ever sell it, please let me know, because I'd hope to be very high in line as to someone you might offer. It signified like that day and what happened with Gary. It was really cool.
That's cool.
So the coupon is part of it, like dead centered as the prize piece, if you will.
Yeah. Real quick, just because we're on the topic, and you're one of the more visible pre-war, probably individuals in the hobby, at least in social media. What's your favorite T206 back?
Oh, my favorite back? So I guess I'm partial, and I don't want to certainly stir any feathers. I'm certainly partial to the Cobb with the Cobb back, because my company Just Collect discovered a fresh one.
Oh, wow.
At this point, it was probably 15 months ago, maybe a little bit longer. You can read about it on our blog at justcollect.com/blog. But the thing that was most interesting about that one, I believe every other documented T206 Cobb with the Cobb back, meaning the real, the rarest one, was found in the southern part of the United States, meaning in a certain region, in a certain area. And so for it to have been found in New Jersey, these folks were not living in South Carolina or, down south at any point in their lives. The gentleman didn't have any recollection as to how it made its way up here. But we took it so seriously. We bought it from the gentleman and his family. But the agreement was upon the grade it was received from PSA. We didn't know if it was going to be authentic or a 1. It did get a 1. And so we actually flew the card in hand across country. We got it, let's say, on a Wednesday. Scott was on a flight on the Thursday to do a walkthrough with PSA, and he flew back with it, I think, Thursday night. And then I saw it in the office on Friday. And so even though there's lots of great backs in the set, and I'm definitely partial to a few others, I'd be lying to say it would be anything different other than that, because it was just an unbelievable experience. I remember when the gentleman contacted us, and the card was in a 9-pocket sheet with other strip cards and T206s when he came to our office. And I'm looking straight at him like, do you know what you have here? He said, I think so. That's why I came to you. I'm okay.
No, that's what's great about questions like that, because it's what's your personal favorite. Yeah, I don't have an attachment to anything like that, so mine's going to be something like Polar Bear, because it's a great, beautiful back.
Love that back. It's great. It's artist. Yeah.
Mine's just from a simple collector. I don't have any personal attachment to any like you do, and that's what we love about hearing stories like this, because you do have a story personally as a business person, but also as a collector, and that's what's awesome.
Yeah, no, listen, I appreciate that you folks share these stories with others. I mean, not just mine, but as you said, whatever everyone's story is. I mean, let's be honest, that's why we started collecting. No one thought they were going to make $1 million when you were buying baseball cards when you're 9 years old. You were doing it because you wanted a Donnie baseball, or you wanted a Michael Jordan, or in today's day, you want a Luka, or you want a Trouty. I get it. I think that in large part that fun and flair is still there, and in other cases, it's even more well advanced than my wildest dreams, because I remember graduating Rutgers College in 2000. People were looking at me, so like, what are you going to do when you're done with college? And I'm like, well, I'm going to try not to get, a job in corporate America, and like a real job. They're like, well, what do you mean? Like, I don't know. Just I'm not good enough to play for the Yankees, so I can really cross that off the list. I wasn't good enough to play for the Celts, so I figured I would try to do something in business. I always liked business. That's what I went to school for. But I didn't really want to be an accountant like my father, and I love him. But I just didn't want to be an accountant. So I wanted to.
That's what I do for a living.
I think it's great. And listen, it's a very valuable part of my business, but it's just not something that I personally had a passion for. Right. And so I decided, for myself, I was fortunate at a young age, still do plenty of things wrong, but that was one thing I got right, was to pursue something that I was really, just enjoying. I didn't necessarily know how I would make the dollars and cents of it. Certainly didn't envision vintage breaks at the time. That's, I graduated in 2000, do the math, feeling like an old man today, Anyway. Right. Yeah. So anyway,
Mike, why don't you share your story real quick about the conversation you had, I think, at Thanksgiving with one of your family members about your post-retirement and the kind of the strange look you got from your family member when you told them what you were going to do to supplement your income?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty standard response at this point, having kind of a longer term vision about building an inventory of cards on the various online platforms, and they just have no concept of what is potentially possible, from whether it's cards or whether it's the website or any of those types of businesses. It's a foreign concept to a lot of people. So it's awesome when you can see people who have made it work and have built solid, legitimate, sustainable businesses dealing with collectibles. It's awesome.
My question for you, Layton, we talked about, you being a collector. What do you PC? Is there anything that you hold back or you hold on to?
Sure. So I would say, in general, from the collections that we buy and then we blog about for Just Collect. And once again, for those of you that aren't exactly sure what I mean about that, so if we buy a collection, like for example, the one last Friday, we'll talk about it almost like in the way in a Facebook post. But we'll try to bring you value by telling you about the experience, how it all happened, how they found us, what exactly was there, meaning in terms of, not just the deal, the collection, but, was there any snafus along the way, whatever the case is. And, we share those experiences on our blog, as well as videos of a lot of the collections. You can find that at justcollect.com/blog. And so, to me, what I collect in particular is I try to grab, let's say, a card or an item, meaning a signed baseball or a wrapper, from each of these collections we blog about, because I have a 5-year-old son. His name's Crosby, and I have no idea if Crosby's going to collect or not. I couldn't tell you. I hope he does, of course. I'm trying really hard not to force him to, because I know the day that I do, he'll definitely be done collecting. But I do know that he loves his daddy, and what I mean is he's going to care about my experiences. And so if he thinks that I love it, and he loves me, it's going to be a bond that we're going to be able to share. And even if he decides to sell the cards one day, I don't really care, because he's going to know where those cards came from. And to me, that's one of the things I'd love to see the hobby do in general, is a little bit more, I wouldn't call it formal documentation, but, blogging about a collection you just bought. There's no rule, right? So it doesn't have to be, I bought 57 1933 Gaudis with 2 Ruths and a Gehrig. I saw a guy on Twitter or Facebook the other day. I don't know how he found it. It was like 9 complete sets of 63 Fleer baseball. Stuff was from like a gentleman from work. He didn't own it yet. But, I appreciate him being honest. He's like, I don't own it. I don't know what we're going to do with it, but these are really cool. I thought it was awesome. And certainly wish that we found it. But my point is, we certainly could be happy for one another, whether it be as fellow collectors, quote unquote dealers, or folks who do this for a living, hybrids of all that stuff. And so what do I collect for myself, other than these experiences? I don't know. Listen, I enjoy doing it. So I think my point is if I find a product or a set that I like, I'll target a particular card. But I would say I'm not a set collector. I was when I was a really young kid, but I definitely do not do that. Almost like a 180. I would say I'm a type collector, or I like Jordan and I collect Jordan stuff. The 3 guys I collected growing up were Jordan, Bird, and Mattingly. I had my binders, and it was real cool. My dad made me collect sets, and so I don't know. I already have enough cards. I don't need to have 683 cards I don't care about out of a 700 card set. I'd rather have the 17 cards I care about. Easier to manage.
We always ask all of our guests on here, if you could only own one card that you currently own, and that's the only one, that's the only card you can keep, what one would it be and why?
So currently, I have a lot of cards, but I'll just try to give you the first one that comes to mind. It's probably my T206 Christy Mathewson. It's authenticated by, I believe, SGC. It's low grade. It's like a 1 or 2, something like that. Not a rare back, actually, at all. I think it's sweet cap. However, it has a Hoboken stamp, meaning, someone living at the Hoboken, probably in the early 1900s, for whatever reason or another. I think it actually said West Hoboken, if I remember correctly. I'll put it on Twitter tomorrow if I can access it easily in my office, in my part of my collection. And I thought that it was awesome because I lived in Hoboken 2 different times in my life so far. Who knows? Might live there again. My wife and I recently moved out of Hoboken just a couple of years ago to become first-time homeowners in suburbia. In suburbia, New Jersey. But, my wife still works in Manhattan. I miss Hoboken. I love living where we do now in suburbia. But, Hoboken has always had a special place in my heart. And, a lot of folks believe that the sport of baseball, the first game ever was played in Hoboken. I myself love T206s. Mathewson isn't necessarily the best T206 you can get, but it's certainly one of the better ones. And so you just combine my love for baseball and baseball cards and Hoboken. My son loves Hoboken. My son was born not in Hoboken, but he was born when we were living in Hoboken. He was actually born at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia in Philadelphia. But I feel a lot of love for that card and a connection in a lot of different ways.
That's awesome. I love that. We all have stories like that it might not be a particularly, very valuable card, but the card means something because of something else about it. And that's awesome. So let us know, how can we get into a break with Vintage Breaks? Like, what's the best way to do that? Where can we follow you? All that good stuff so all of our listeners can be part of your community as well. They're not all ready.
Sure. So if you just want to check out our inventory and have access to an easy link to see well over 10,000 videos of old breaks, check us out at vintagebreaks.com. If you're looking to hang out while we're live, I'd also suggest subscribing to our channel at youtube.com/vintagebreaks. And the reason why I would subscribe, not only, of course, you can watch us there when we're live, but you'll also get a notification from YouTube when we go live. And a lot of folks like that because, let's be honest, right? The world's changing with technology. We're not necessarily looking at our email anymore, so, as regularly. So some folks are like, well, wait a minute. I looked at my email 7 hours after the fact you went live. I might have bought that product that you had. I'm like, listen, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you should subscribe to the channel. You'll get notified when we go live right away. Everyone kind of has their thing. So that's why I'm suggesting that. So if you want to enjoy the breaks, you can do it on YouTube. You could also do it on Facebook, right from your app. Find us under Vintage Breaks. We also have a Twitter account. And in general, what I tell folks is if you want to communicate with me directly, of course, you can do so live on the show. We have a PSA Vintage Break show. We're proud to say there's only 2 hobby shows that PSA sponsors. One of them is my friends Tom and the gang over at the Great American Collectibles Show, a great group of guys. And the other is the Vintage Breaks PSA show, which, believe it or not, we're bordering on almost a year and a half of 2 years of doing it every Wednesday at 4:30 Eastern time. You could find us on the PSA Facebook page, and that's at facebook.com/PSA card. And so I'm the host of that show. It's a lot of fun. And so if you want to communicate with me directly, my suggestion is just to email me direct, Layton, Leighton, Leighton at justcollect.com. It could be anything from, you just have a simple question about the hobby. For example, we're doing some fun stuff right now, switching gears. If you have a son, a daughter, a niece, nephew, cousin that writes to us for the next, I think it's 11 months, courtesy of Just Collect and Vintage Breaks, give us their wish list. We prefer they to write the letter, but if you want to write it with them, that's great. And we're basically calling it the birthday club for kids. We're going to try to honor their wishes, but if not, we're still going to send them out a little care package courtesy of Just Collect and Vintage Breaks with a bunch of vintage cards in it, maybe some modern cards. You could just tune in and watch our breaks, but we have a big event. I want to make sure I plug it. It's ending February 23rd, and it's 2 styles. So we have a buy any spot. That's the first style. And then we have a VIP promo, which is if you spend $1,000 in spots, in breaks, if you will, over the course of the VIP promotion period, which is a few-week period. It ends Sunday the 23rd at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. All the details for all the prizes and the rules can be found at event.vintagebreaks.com. And, for example, the buy any spot promo to me is amazing because you can buy any spot, as the promo suggests, on our site, by the way, for as cheap as $3. So you can get into a break for $3 on our site. That's our cheapest price point. And I don't know about you guys, but if you've been to the post office recently, it costs about $3 to mail a card. with shipping, the cost of shipping, supplies, so on and so forth. So my point is, a lot of folks ask me, Leighton, like, why do you charge $3 and you don't charge shipping for spots that are really cheap? Like, you're not making any money. I'm like, yes, you figured me out. However, we're trying to bring as many people into the breaking community, not just for vintage breaks, but for everyone. And I wish more of the breakers did that. They focused on really cheap breaks. Listen, we have expensive breaks too. It costs $500,000, whatever the case is. But I think that it's wonderful to bring in as many folks as you can. The more that our breaking community grows, not just vintage breaks, but the breaking community grows in general, I think the better it is for everyone. So the point is to kind of get back to center for a minute. This buy any spot promo where you can get in for as cheap as $3 guarantees you one entry. So in other words, if you buy 10 spots across 10 different packs, you'll have 10 spots in this promotion. The event ends next Sunday, the 23rd at 10 o'clock. And for example, first place in the buy any spot promotion is the Mickey Mantle single sign baseball, already authenticated by PSA DNA. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous ball. And, you're probably talking it's worth $700, $800, $900. And, you could have a chance to win it for as low as $3 while enjoying breaks with us. And to me, I take great pride with our staff, and we bring a lot of value to our customers. It's not just about, hey, I can sell a spot for making it up $9. It costs us $6. We made $3. Awesome. Can we do that 100 million times? Sure, you make a lot of money if you did 100 million times. But we are very keen on bringing people value. And I think that just describing to you the thought we put into our cheapest break, why we selected that price, and the value that brings to whether it be you're a first-time breaker, whether it be you're someone who loves breaks but just doesn't have a big budget, listen, more the merrier. We'd love to have you.
Well, that's awesome. And I really appreciate, I know it's late where you are, but we really appreciate you hopping on and spending some time with us tonight. And keep up the great work. And we'll keep following you. And maybe we'll get some new customers your way and get to spread this hobby even farther. So we really appreciate it.
Great. So, guys, I just want to close with I appreciate you having me on board here. We wanted to give out a $50 break credit to vintagebreaks.com, courtesy of Just Collect Vintage Breaks. You guys figure out how to choose someone amongst your community to give that out to.
Okay.
Just have them contact us.
Awesome.
No, it's our pleasure. Have them contact us directly. 732-828-2261 is our office phone number. Or, of course, just hit me up, Layton at justcollect.com, and we'll get that person taken care of. What's really cool, and I'll close with this, just as to show you the thought that we put into everything. So that $50 break credit, whoever wins it, if you spend that break credit by February 23rd, we count that just the same as cash, meaning you're in our buy any spot promo. So I've just given someone a chance to win a Mickey Mantle baseball for free if you spend that $50 by February 23rd.
All right. Well, we'll get a winner as soon as possible so they can come in and get in a break and get into that awesome contest and giveaway. So wow, thank you so much. Blowing us away. I really appreciate it, Leighton.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks, gentlemen. Have a great evening.
Do the same. Thank you.
Take care.
That's awesome. I mean, there, that was unknown. We did not know that was happening, so that was on the fly. We'll come up with something tonight. We'll get it out tomorrow, and maybe like we can name Ben's beard or something, and that could be fun. So
just the part that still has color in it, though.
Yeah, I mean, at least you have that hair, because the other hair,
no, that's very
unlike some of us that have to get haircuts on a regular. I haven't been in a while.
Those are hair
thick
plugs.
and lush.
It's 2-1. How do we mute the host here?
I can't. It's amazing. Love this. Let's get into it. The week that was, dude. Yeah, he reminds me of one of our family friends who's from Jersey. Sounds almost exactly like him. So I was having flashbacks. I was like, "Is that Mr. O?" Like
we're gonna have to have him on a Sunday showcase where we can talk to him for however long StreamYard will let us talk.
Yeah.
Because
and by the way, isn't one of the coolest city names in the United States Hoboken?
Yep.
Right? It's like Sheboygan.
Yeah. What's cool too is you mentioned the 63 Fleer. Mike, did you not just do a podcast on that? I was going to try to get that in there, and you just put that set recently.
Yeah, it was a cool find. I saw that on Facebook too. There's something like 6 or 7 complete sets plus some extra stuff. It was pretty much like they went straight from a pack into a cigar box or something and got pulled out.
That's awesome. That's
great. And like, watch. I mean, they're different than Mike's wearing the Mojo Break shirt tonight. I mean, they're different than what those guys do, but it's getting able to see. It's like a history lesson when you watch them open product. It really, really is. It's cool. So let's hop into it. The show, the week that was last week's releases, Topps Living Week 100. We had card 283. I'm going to try it again. Astides Aquino. Aquino, the rookie outfielder from the Reds, sold almost just over 3,800 cards. Card 284, Kevin Kiermaier, outfielder for the Rays, sold just over 2,000. He actually didn't outsell Seth Lugo from the week before, which is kind of sad. 2020 Top Series 1 Baseball, 19 Panini Limited Football, 18, and then 1920 Upper Deck Allure Hockey had its debut. Hop into this week, hot off the presses, this week's new releases. Topps Living Week 101, card 285, Edgar Martinez, Hall of Fame DH from the Seattle Mariners, and then card 286, baseball card collector Brad Ziegler, pitcher of the Miami Marlins. Pretty interesting week. I know we were going back and forth with Brad if he was going to go all Nishek on us and order 10,000, but I believe, Ben, he said that he wanted to stay married.
Yeah, he said it's like you can't let Nishak one up you, and he's like, no, I'd want to stay married. And it's like, but what you're missing, Brad. These cards are only available for 7 days. You can get another wife, but once these ones are done, they're done. 7 days, that's it. So it'll be interesting to see how he influences his own print run.
Nishak and Ziegler, both are like slide arm pitchers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both were A's at one point.
Yep.
All stars. Baseball card collectors. Where's Phil Hughes? Where's his Topps Living? Let's get him a Topps Living now. And just like get a little, I would love having all three of those guys, signed in a nice little display and be like, hey, these guys are collectors just like me. And, they got to go out and play Major League Baseball for fun.
I did see it sounds like he's going to have a pack issued autograph sometime here.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's A&G or maybe Archives.
Yep.
That'd be cool. So check out Topps Living Stat for full breakdown of where these cards fall respectively and by set and by team and position. This week, 2019-2020 Panini Donruss Optic Basketball. Only $450 for a box. 20 packs per box. 4 cards per pack. So you're getting 80 cards for $450. Outstanding. 1 autograph, 20 inserts and/or parallels. It's a chromium base card stock version of the 1920 Donruss release from earlier this year. There's a full rainbow of color, so you can build a great parallel set. The hollow parallels are one of the most sought-after inserts. The past few years, they're similar to the Prism Silvers. And rated rookie signatures will all have on-card ink and a rainbow of their own. So I know people have been mad dashing to Target and buying the mega boxes and the packs and all of this stuff. And so it's like going wipe your shelf clean of all the Optic you can because it's going fast. But I don't blame them at $450 for a hobby box. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Okay, we're gonna get into this later. This is getting nuts.
Yep,
nuts. I haven't seen a basketball product on any retail shelf in Sacramento since Black Friday. I'm talking a Donruss fat pack. Not even.
Yeah,
all kinds of football. You can get football cards all day long. Nobody cares about football cards anymore. We might as well. They're almost to hockey card standards at this point.
Yeah, we've had a handful of retail Donruss and hoops that I've seen. I've stumbled across a few hanger packs of Prism Draft, but it's pretty slim pickings around here too in Central Illinois.
Yeah, no, it's been wiped clean. No, I mean Optic's one of those things. It's the chrome dip Donruss version. The parallels they have a lot of value. I mean this year with the Optic, the rated rookies with Jaw and Zion and the whole gang this year. That's what people are after. They're looking to get those hollow parallels that a few years ago, up until like last year, like when Luka came out, even those were reasonably priced around $40 or $50. And all of a sudden one day it was like everybody started buying them up and the prices took off. And now we're at this crazy level where it's like, every man and child and woman for themselves. Get out of the way. If you see some on the shelf, you're gonna get run over.
Almost feel like Willy Wonka when Veruca Salt's dad in the factory, where you just see all these people downstairs opening it up looking for the golden ticket. It almost seems like that's what's going on. Is we're all buying it, looking for whatever the next hit is gonna be, and we could call it the Gary V effect. We could call it the breaker culture of, this breaker era that we find ourselves in. Who knows? It's just, it's a bubble that at some point is going to price some people out of this hobby.
Yeah. And we're going to have, that's probably a bigger discussion. I think we should have some, I have a couple of folks I want to have on, Mike being one of them, to do this maybe on a Sunday show to discuss that part of the hobby. But no, it's crazy. Also this week, 2019 Panini plates and patches football drops $120 a box, 1 pack per box, 5 cards per pack. You're going to get an autograph, a mem card, a printing plate, parallel, and a base card. There's a 100-card base set, all numbered to 99. None of the parallels will be numbered higher than 60. Lots of good action photography in this. The RPAs are going to have a really nice oversized swatch, and they will not have on-card signatures. So all the RPAs are sticker autos. There is a signal callers subset of autographs, so it's QBs only. There's a cool one of all Hall. It's all the bunch of Canton inductees, and then the 100-year signatures offers all-time greats. So guys maybe that didn't make it in the Canton, but they're like fan favorites. Plates and patches. I mean, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a plate, and you're going to get a patch, and that's what you're going to walk away with. Not too bad for the price. I mean, if you hit the right guy, just think that I think football is just getting bowled over by basketball. No matter what it is in basketball, it's so collectible. We've seen this the last couple of years. If you don't have a quarterback in football, then the football product's not that exciting. And I think that Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones, Haskins all played on awful teams this year. They really didn't do all that great on the field, so no one's super excited about them.
Yeah, this is a product I've seen opened in our local shop a few times. Definitely geared towards breakers, right? Just a handful of cards and hit heavy, but it's not something that I've personally ever gone after. It's not my kind of product. So it doesn't really do a whole lot for me.
Yeah. And like I said, I think, outside, I was only collecting baseball for a long time. And, I stopped football in 15 when Topps lost it, and I couldn't do the flagship set. I mean, because really Panini doesn't have a true flagship set. You could say Score, but not all the guys are in, it's not enough for me. And so it's really kind of, I think football's getting kind of stagnant on this. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we're probably all going to go crazy for XFL cards. I know I can't wait to get another Landry Jones. Like, watching the XFL this weekend real quick, was it not like looking through the dollar bin at a card show? Like, hey, I remember that guy. I remember that guy. Oh yeah, all those cards in the dollar bin are 6 for $5 at the local card show because no one wants them anymore, right? Landry Jones and Cardale Jones and.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be buying any new XFL, but I'll definitely be open to picking it up on the secondary market when I can buy some of my big lots or big collections or whatever. Because that stuff it will still sell. There will still be a demand. I mean, I sold 14 AAF cards this week to somebody, and so I mean, and they didn't even make it a full season. So
but long term. I mean, there weren't any stars out of that, that nobody that's really taken off. But I always thought I'd see those blasters, and I go, man, maybe what if I put away just 2 blasters, and then all of a sudden one day, like the USFL, it's like, but at least the USFL had big stars at the time, right? And so
some of these AAF guys got picked up by XFL teams, and so there's a resurgence. There's a new life by
maybe Mike's gonna retire on AFL football card, AF, whatever it was. I didn't even watch a game of it.
Football has all of the college where baseball doesn't really have that. Basketball with the one and dones doesn't really have it. So, we make fun of Landry Jones and Cardale Jones and the next guy, but there are a lot of diehard college fans that can continue to collect these guys now that they have XFL cards.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising to Mike's point that there's going to be a market for them at some point. But yeah, I mean, people are talking about the XFL on my Facebook page. Some friends, and they're all diehard, and they're like, "Oh, XFL." I'm like, "Oh, it started. That's neat."
I'm also interested to see the dynamic of the impact that fantasy sports might have on the XFL too, because like DraftKings is running XFL contests. They didn't do it for AAF, but they are doing it for XFL, and so I'm curious to see if the fact that there's also going to be fantasy sports, daily fantasy that goes along with it, if that is going to help drive both the longevity of the league itself and interest in the league, as well as potential interest in some of the players and some of the cards.
Well, the original league too. If you watch that, what was it, the ESPN 30 for 30 on it? And they had all of the technical issues that first broadcast, and they allowed the players to have their nicknames on the back, and they had all these weird things trying to set themselves apart from the NFL. I think they've got an opportunity now to do it better. I don't want to say do it right, because only time's going to tell, but do it better than they did the first time. So their ability to have an opportunity to be around for a few years. I mean, financially, you hope that they're more funded than the other league was, the AFL or AARP league or whatever it was. But, it's one of those things that, man's a good businessman. Nobody can deny that, regardless of what you think about WWE. He's a smart business person, and
no, it's just it's gonna be interesting to see the longevity. But Ryan, always check out Ryan Cracknell's articles on Becca.com, Becca.com/news for really good details on these new releases and other things coming up. Steph, before we get into the what's brewing, Steph sent me an article in the DMs about Reese McGuire from the Blue Jays and really enjoying the parking lot in front of a Dollar Tree last week. I don't know if it's because he found a bunch of penny packs, but yeah. So
enjoyed it a little too much.
Reese McGuire is probably not going to be super collectible much longer. So yeah. Anyway,
Mark McGuire searches when people misspell one or both names.
Yeah. What's brewing next week's releases? 2019-2020 Panini Donruss Optic Fast Break Edition comes out. So it's a slightly different version with other extra parallels, kind of like what they do with Prism. 2019 Panini Select Football and 1920 Upper Deck Series 2 Hockey drops. More Young Guns. Young Guns. So that's exciting. We're hopping to Infield Chatter, a Hobby Talk section tonight. The Hobby Hotline, live this Saturday on YouTube, Periscope, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern. Our own Stefan Loeffler will be on there. Mike Summer is going to be live on there. I think right. Val Mars is on. We're going to talk a little NASCAR, and then Drew's going to be on as well, keeping all these knuckleheads in line. So I enjoyed the first show. I mean, the intro was a little rough. I think we're working that out. Episode 1, I said, hey man, like the first 5 to 10 episodes we do of this are going to be a tad rough. We all have different personalities. We all have different way we do our shows. We all have a little bit different way of going about it. So we're going to find each other out. We want more caller interaction. We're going to drop the link the way that all of us are joined right here. We drop that link in the chat and it pops up and you're right there. We're going to bring you on the show instantly. And I think our first caller, we talked about grading. It was a great call. Yeah. I mean, it was awesome. It spurned a lot of conversation. And then there was a call that trolled Ben. I think his name was Richard.
That first call was a big hitter too. It wasn't like it was a softball question. I mean, we're talking about World Series, to use an analogy, a World Series type Game 6. I mean, it was a nice pitch. I mean, it was a good question, a lot of good debate, and if that's the quality of the calls that we're going to get, and we can learn, and we can educate. That's a fantastic opportunity, and I can't wait to see what this show becomes. And I think we've got a good blend of personalities, and I think it's just going to make all of us also step up our game on an individual level, with our own personal podcast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree. I went back and listened to the whole show later on, and I really enjoyed listening to the intro and some of those early calls, and made me wish that I was around for the entire show, because you boneheads talking about how insert cards don't have any value, and I was like,
we didn't
yelling at the microphone or yelling at my computer as I was watching that. I was like, what are you guys talking about?
No, we prefaced it. They don't carry some of them. They don't carry the same value, because after a certain point in time, though, they do. They trickle down, right? And so I can say this. I mean, busting Series 1. I was, that first couple of days I had them up there. I mean, I was flooded with sales. Now they've been pretty consistent, but not like those first few days where people were completing sets. And I was putting stupid prices on stuff, and people were like, "Yep." And I'll go back in a couple, after a month or so, and if I haven't sold them, I'll bring them down. But it was just it was like it's probably a bigger conversation and some better worded questions, and that's why like someone like having you on there would be even better. But you did hop in after. Did you win any basketball games that weekend though, Coach?
No, we lost both our games. Yeah, it's fifth, sixth grade, right? We're trying to it's a whole playing time thing and all of that situation where equal playing time, and so we've got 14 girls on the team.
That's good. And, that's a hell of a turnout.
Yeah,
on a team.
Yes, awesome. we have 14 girls on the team that we have to get into each half. Okay. And so there's a big distribution of playing time that we work through.
Almost 3 full squads.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. But I love seeing that. I mean, at least you're not rolling out with 4, and then you're like, okay, maybe we can pick up a 5th at the gym. Like,
right.
That's I guess that's the bright spot on it. Hey, we're out having fun.
There's
a lot of interest. That's good to hear. We talked about Series 2 dropping next week, but 2020 Upper Deck National Hockey Day is this Saturday. Skip Valentine's Day. Okay, tell the wife and the kids, hey, listen, Dad, we're not doing Valentine's Day this year. We're sleeping out in front of the LCS. We're gonna have s'mores, and we're gonna open up some hockey cards. It's a promotion in both Canada and the United States. It's very, very simple. Ryan Cracknell wrote a story on this. We'll send it out, but you go to an LCS that's participating. There's tons. My LCS here is participating, and they have like 4 boxes of hockey for sale. Or 4, not boxes, but 4, they have Upper Deck Series 1. They have Allure. They have a couple old boxes, the higher end boxes from a few years ago. I mean, that's what they have. I mean, we're not huge hockey up here in SAC, but they have them. They're going to be participating in it. You get free packs. Some stores are making events out of it. So I know in those hockey-hungry towns, they're probably going crazy. It's a 5-card pack. It's free, completely free. The promos in Canada and the U.S. are different. So in Canada, the main base set is those packs feature. There's 15 cards, and all the players are on Canadian teams or are from Canada. The 16th and final card is a Canucks rookie, Quinn Hughes. It's not available in packs, but if you make a $10 purchase at the shop, you'll get the card. They also have autos, and in the Canada version, Lanny McDonald, Marc-Andre Fleury, and Ryan Poling are the autos, and I'm pretty sure I got those names right. The U.S. also has 15 cards, and you also get a 16th with a $10 purchase, and it's the number 1 overall pick, Jack Hughes, who is a big time name. The autos in there are Joe Pavelski, Brock Bozer, and Taro Hirose.
Yeah, it's a real cool promotion. It's something that our shop here in town has participated in the last several years, and I've taken the girls in, and we've gotten our free packs along the way, and it's a real neat promotion that they do.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm going to go on Saturday and participate. And they even had, I heard they had 1920 Series 110s for $15. So it's like half off.
Yeah, that's great.
So I might go in and pick a couple of those up and get these packs and get my Jack Hughes and have some fun. So I know my little buddy Ethan, that's who I'm going to meet up with. Upper Deck hooked him up with a rack recently, and he just completed the Series 1 set. Thanks to one of our great listeners, John Orr, hooked him up. And,
Young Guns and everything?
Not Young Guns, but the base set.
Okay.
And so he's working on the Young Guns. He's got a handful. I told his mom, I said, hey, Jack Hughes is one of them. I showed her the prices and her teeth fell out. But she said, hey, I'll pick up, I kind of shown her eBay and some things, places to go look. And so she's kind of picking them up here and there as he does, things around the house and for a few bucks.
Cool.
I said, hey, if you don't have the Jack Hughes, then that's fine. But if you get the rest of them, and you're paying, $5-6, yeah, that's a good time. So, and she's got a binder. She's got pages they've put them in.
Yeah, you can start some of those are, 25 cents, 35 cents or so on ComC too. Some of the lower end ones. So
I was showing her ComC and she's super about she's a super completist on things. So I know it's someday that'll get completed. I know that, knowing her. Babe Ruth, he's up for sale. So last week we talked about the legendary 1/1 Babe Ruth Canary Diamond card that was on eBay, and so we all joked about what it was going to go for. So I just pulled it up just to give you an update on where this amazing one of a lifetime, life-changing card would be. It has 3 days and 19 hours left, and we're at $1,575. Now the dude wanted 125,000, so I think someone dropping that is going to wait till the last second. So Sunday night at 4:15 Pacific Coast time. So we're like, what's that? 7:15 on the east, and 6:15 where Mikey's at. So let's all be on there on Sunday night. Let's sit down and see what happens. It's 84 bids. I don't think it gets paid for. I think people are just messing with them and have some fun, but it's up for sale. So.
Hey, if it does get paid for, good for him. I mean,
yeah, no. So, yes, I don't know if you guys saw this Master Mini. So at RBI Crew 7, they are a hobby shop, I think in Missouri.
Yeah, St. Louis area, I believe.
St. Louis, yeah. So they tweeted out 1 month of being opened at the new location with a Keymaster Mini yielding 5 winners thus far. It's time to add some new product. It's $1 per play, accepts dollar bills all the way up to $20 bills. Stop in and give it a try. So I'm going to pull up the picture. I'm not as good at Steph as this, but we're going to try to do this here. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with what a Keymaster thingy is, but I'll show you here. So they have this little thing set up in the shop, which I think is awesome. So it's one of those games you see, arcade games that you see at like Dave and Buster's or whatever, and you go in and there's certain things that you have to do to grab the prize, and there's some really good prizes in here. They have I didn't see what year, but Topps Tribute box in there, a box of Topps Dynasty. There's a 1920 Panini Prism basketball box in there, like a hobby box. There's a 19 Topps Chrome Jumbo box. There's an 1819 Panini Prism retail box. There's 19 Contenders football. There's 2020 Topps Series 1 Jumbo. There's a box of Revolution basketball, a 19 Optic basketball box, and a UDA Threads box, which is an autographed jersey. And you're talking $1 a play. I don't know exactly how you win, but my thought is that is an awesome idea at a card shop, right? Like that's like that breaking bar that they had at the one card shop. They have basically it looks like a bar, and then they have supplies and stools, and you pull up and you open your box and you break it there, and then they have a wall of boxes back there that you can buy. But what do you think? If your card shop had something like this, would you hop in and drop $1 and see if you could grab a few $100 box?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting concept. It's one more of those things, vending machines, cards with vending machines in them, packs and vending machines, all that type of thing. It's I don't know, something different.
Yeah, well, why not? I mean, what's it ultimately costing you, right? A little bit of electricity.
Yeah.
You'll ultimately make quite a bit of money, even if you end up having to give out 1 or 2 of these prizes, which I'm sure you will at some point.
I mean, they said they had 5 winners already.
Yeah, I mean, but what's cool about it is it gets you excited. Tim and I used to go to our LCS years ago under different ownership, and they have trade nights every Saturday night or once a month, I think it was, for Saturday of every month for a couple of hours, and just got all the collectors in one room together, and they would do local breaks. But once in a while, he'd throw the barbecue out there during the day and have hot dogs for free. And I thought, what a cool idea to get people to kind of sit and hang out for a while, have a hot dog and soda, hang out there for a couple of hours. Because what's going to happen once you're there? You're going to start spending money, right? So anytime LCS can come up with something new, and you got your kids with you. I mean, you're at the Denny's. Who doesn't throw a quarter or 50 cents in one of those stupid machines, knowing damn well you're going to lose? But what if you don't? And if it's not rigged to where the house always wins, even better.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool. So, Blowout Buzz sent out a tweet earlier today. The 2020 Topps Now. Here's what your 2020 Topps Now design looks like. A sample card with a discount is being mailed out to some Topps Now buyers. He's not sure that his 5 cards bought in 19 will make the cut or not, but pull it up here and give you a look and see what you think. I mean, it's nothing spectacular. I mean, it has more of a 2020 design on it, 2020 or 2020 design. Um, Similarities. The last few years, I know they've done this with. It's always been Trouty, so um, because why not? Like that's the guy you should pick. But my thoughts to you guys, real quick. I mean, is this a tired brand? Is this a tired release at this point?
I don't know. Like, I mean, it has its following. It's not. I've never bought any Topps Now cards direct myself. That's not something that I really cared that much about. But is it tired? I don't know. I mean, it serves its purpose, but it's still not something that gets me excited.
I know, Ben, you pick up a few of these every year, right? When they have the A's.
No, I get them all. I've got the entire master set from 2016 through current, including the spring training ones or the road to the season, whatever the hell they're called, plus the Players Weekend. My dad went back and bought me the 2017 Players Weekend for about $30 a card. After the fact, somehow I missed it in 2017. Plus, the last couple of years, the A's have made the postseason, so they had the postseason ones as well. So I've got the complete master set. And just no, and I'll tell you why. And I've talked about this or bitched about it, whatever you want to call it, on Twitter, complained about it. There's no rhyme or reason as to why they do these, right? The A's win against the Astros. We talked about this, and Carlos Correa hit his 100th home run. Do the A's get one? There were like 7 things the A's could have done. That night, they did all these cool things, and they got none, and Correa gets one for hitting his 100th home run. Marcus Semien hits his 100th home run a month later, doesn't get one.
You got luck, too, though. It's Marcus Semien versus Carlos Correa.
But Semien finished 3rd in AL MVP race. It's one of those things that I get that we're a smaller market, and they're really catering to who's going to buy it. Print run of a Yankees card versus a print run of an A's card is no comparison. But if you're going to have a program like this, at least be consistent enough to wear the same overall things. If you're going to do walk-offs, then all the walk-offs get one, right? Regardless if it's the A's and the Marlins or the Brewers or the Rays, or if it's only being held for the Yankees and the Cubs and the Red Sox and Dodgers. So that's my frustration with it. Their card stock's okay. Cards are okay.
You're just
I don't
doing
get
it
it.
now out of just to continue to have them, right?
I get them because I'm an A's fan and I've got a disease called I have to have them all. I'm a completionist. I don't get them because they excite me, if that makes sense.
Okay. No, and I mean I haven't. The only ones I've ever picked up were the day I got married. The Buster Posey had one that day. The day my son was born, the Royals and Jake Junis had one that day. And actually, the Royals had one on our wedding day as well because I have 3 of them. I've never. And then when Hosmer won the All-Star MVP, those are the only ones that I have because they don't. I don't know. I could never get behind it, and it was like tracking it down every day, and I don't know. It wasn't even being a Royals and Giants collector. It's like I'm not going to go back and try to run these down, and I feel like there's so much. And Ben talked about you have the spring training, you have the postseason, you have Players Weekend, you have all these different editions, and it just like feels like so much. At some point, I cut off and said, no, man. Like unless something cool happens that day, I'm like they didn't even do MLB. See, my thing is when a guy makes his MLB debut, his major league debut, he should get a card, right?
Yeah, no.
They don't do that.
The A's had that game that Correa, I think they set a record up against the Philadelphia A's. I think Bo Taylor hit his first home run that day. There was all kinds of stuff that happened that a lot of guys get cards for. And the way I look at Topps Now is if Flagship or Heritage or Stadium Club or Ginter went away tomorrow, we're not releasing it in 2021. We're just done with Ginter and Heritage. A lot of people are going to be upset, right? On the same token, if people, if Topps came and said clearly authentic and archive signature and stickers and, opening day are gone next year, not very many people are going to care. I think Topps Now is in that latter category, especially now that we're seeing more and more on-demand products. And now that they're trying to promote the Montgomery Club stuff, it just seems like Topps Now was cool, but it's not going anywhere because they still sell a ton of it.
Well, except for Brad Ziegler's the unicorn, because he has like I think 12 copies of one of his cards. So it's like
I have a
most sought
suspicion.
after.
I think I know kind of where their margins lie now, enough to know that they're going to be doing these programs for quite a while because they're making money, and they're going to continue to make money even with lower print runs. And on a daily basis, what's your cost, right? A little bit of printing, you got your printer ink, you know, you're selling this stuff for, you're buying all the card stock in bulk. I mean, it can't really cost you that much.
Maybe I'll make my own. I got some right here.
You should. About the cards now. Whatever happens. This week's will be guest host Mike Summer, last minute. Pinch hit with 12 minutes before the showtime. Threw some headphones on.
Monkey flu.
Ripped off of his pajamas, his silk pajamas, and got out of bed and said, honey, I'm putting on
the pipe.
Yeah.
It was like Willis Reed coming out for the finals. Real quick, Steph, I don't get me wrong. I think this is how Steph got sick. He said someone sneezed on him at the Stars game, like on him, and like then made jokes about having the coronavirus. So that's not funny, but monkey flu is funny because I don't think monkey flu exists. It just sounds cool.
Yeah.
So that's always my joke when someone's got the illness. It's like, hey, you got Kansas monkeypox, as we like to call them, or just the monkey flu. But I hope these guys get him. The pack searchers, our buddy Ben Aguirre, the best Ben on the internet.
True.
Hobby legend. Cardboard icons.
Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore. Good times when you stop at Target and you see a dude bending every pack in sight, including Prism Soccer. LOL. Pack searchers are going to do their thing, but dude had NFL TG. Let's legit bending with both hands. I think they're like, and I retweeted this and asked some questions. I think they are the scummy people like who legitimately is searching loose packs and retail for a $5 relic card that most collectors, to be honest, unless it's their guy, their team, it doesn't excite us anymore. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, you want the autograph, and people say, oh, yeah, you can see or find the autographs. No, you can't.
That doesn't excite you?
No, I mean, I showed you my Brett like that with the bat piece. I like it because it's my guy, but I'm saying, like,
right.
How you're going to pack search for your specific guy in a retail store in front of people. And then I've seen people sitting on the ground like weighing packs and stuff. I'm like,
we got one guy in town it's a one guy who goes to Target, goes to Walmart, and I am at the point where I see that. I'm relishing the opportunity to get my iPhone video fired up and do a little incognito recording of what's going on. I've seen a few people, post, and I think it'd be entertaining to see what happens if I just decide to take his stack of packs that he set off to the side and just kind of walk up and pick up his stack of packs and
by the way,
walk to the checkout.
John in the chat has we now have a name for him. I remember seeing this pack pervert at Target doing that. They're no longer pack searchers; they are pack perverts.
Now I'm visualizing Mike at the Target restaurant, dipping his breadstick in his marinara or he's got his pretzel and his mustard, and he's like looking over his wife just so he's a little incognito, and I can just see him going over there and like hitting them with like a soccer sticker thing, right? Give me your packs. Security.
Well, I think he needs to have. I think you need to have Jonathan roll out and to bring his lightsaber based on what you were saying pre-show, how he's beating up his older brother with a lightsaber, right? Like take him and just deal out some local justice.
I mean, when you're a 2-year-old hit your,
we need Chris Hansen. Chris Hansen on pack perverts. We're starting a hashtag pack perverts. We're gonna get a Chris Hansen looking dude, and we're gonna invite dudes over to search our packs, and then we're gonna bust them up. I like this. Jesus.
So just so everybody caught that inside joke, my 6-year-old's telling this story to his mom, and I'm sitting right next to him, and the 2-year-old comes up and has a plastic lightsaber and just cocks back, just like a baseball bat, and just clubs him right over the melon. And Bentley's first response was, "Let me hold my head," and start crying. My wife grabs him, so that she can laugh without him seeing. And then, of course, I have to start laughing. So I grab Jonathan and, hey, now you got to go on the root chair, buddy. And so he starts crying. And then I ask John, I'm like, hey, are you sorry? And he shakes his little chubby head, yes. And then I'm like, hey, you going to do it again? And I'm expecting no. And he's like shaking his head, yeah, like as soon as I'm out of this root chair, Dad. And so, yeah, I think Mike should sit there with a plastic lightsaber and club his pack pervert over the nog when he's over there trying to get his $4 relic. See, and that's the thing is, when you find a relic, you have to assess its eBay value before you decide it's worth it, right? $2, not worth going to jail. $4, all right, I'll play.
Yeah, no, that's that's I don't get it, man. Like, and then you see all these people selling hot packs. I don't want to go that. I don't want to even go down that road, but to me it's unnecessary. It doesn't need to happen. And then you're just
now
digging
there
up cards for other people, right?
There was the guy on Twitter that had shared his receipt that said, if packs are opened.
Show
we're going to talk about that.
We're gonna get there in a sec. Yeah.
Well, it's relevant to talk about it right now.
Yeah.
So
we'll get up to it. No, yeah. So no, that's our next topic. So it's the Kosh 66. He was at the Blackstone and Billboard Target in Fresno on Monday, and he tweeted out, so has anybody seen the statement on your Target receipts must exchange if opened? So he put out a picture. He bought some packs that was on there. Ask Target tweeted back to him, thanks for reaching out. Reviewing your receipt, it appears the item purchased was trading cards. Trading cards or collectibles within that department can only be exchanged and not returned. Hope this helps.
No,
yeah, it does, because I can open packs all day long and spend $2. I should have taken back my pack, the fat pack I bought today, for $5 on the way home, because it was terrible, and go back in and say, hey, I want a different pack.
Yeah, this didn't have a Zion or a John. I mean, literally, I had made the comment on Twitter. You're going back to the Target restaurant. Why not just take customer service right over there? Here, I'm going to buy you a pretzel. Mike, you're working at the Target right now. Let's sit there. You can eat your pretzel on me, and I just need you to take the little scanner, and every time I open up a pack that sucks, we're just going to exchange it for the next pack, and I'm going to open them up until I get one that's worth my while. Okay, I'm going to keep this one because it had what I wanted in it. I mean, at what point do we not be able to return it more than once, twice, 20 times? I mean, come on.
Your Targets have restaurants?
You guys don't have restaurants out there where you can have like
it's not
a little
restaurant. It's a kiosk that's selling pretzels and pizza.
No, it's got a little cove. It's bigger than the Starbucks that are in there.
No, you haven't been to the new ones. They're taking
Your
all
Targets
those out.
have Starbucks?
Yeah.
Wow.
What state do you live in?
Illinois.
I know you
They
guys
just
are on the
got
Midwest
Target.
over there. You
They have
and your
Meijer,
buddy
though,
Poe
right?
We have
team up
Meijer.
on me.
So he's got Meijer, so he can go get Meijer purples when he wants.
Yeah,
So I go get a
all
pretzel
the,
cart and you can go get purple refractors
Yep.
parallel. This is BS, dude.
I mean, Mike, do you see some issues coming with this at all?
With
The
what?
return exchange policy over at Target.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't see it being any better than people getting their cash back because they're after getting their free cards anyway. So I'd be curious to see how many people were just trying to get complete refunds versus exchanges anyway. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, and it's the same. I don't know if we talked about it last week on the show, but like I saw on like Offer Up, maybe it was Hobby Hotline. Like, hey, here's a complete factory set that I know is from Target. It's got the $50 sticker on it, but hey, I'm gonna sell it to you for $20. And then the same dude had a whole bunch of hangers and fat packs and blasters of Series 1 he was offering for half price. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to buy stolen goods off you, bro. Like, that's awesome. So, I think retail's becoming... we used to talk about this. Don't go and buy retail. I know that Ben Aguirre said, hey, man, I'm trying to, like a couple years ago, I'm avoiding retail, and I really tried to. But all of a sudden now, retail is kind of where you need to go to actually pay the value of what the manufacturer set for the product.
Yeah, especially on certain products that aren't necessarily hit driven. Like Heritage for the last few years has been a decent retail buy because the hobby price had run up, but the insert ratios for short prints and all of that where the true value lies If you're a set collector, retail was the way to go to try to build that set if you wanted to open wax.
Yeah.
And some of the other, products
you look at all the
Prism
basketball
and-
this year. Yeah.
Yep. It's
Whoa.
also a way to go. Wait, where are we going there,
Where
Ben?
are we going, Ben? Oh, that's even better.
He's gone.
He's muted. The camera's gone.
Yes,
The show, the ratings. Oh my God, the viewership just spiked.
It's skyrocketing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's certain products where it is the way to go at this point. If you can find retail at MSRP, that's the way to go.
He's back. It's like we talked about, like
you guys got so excited there for a minute. Sorry, my wife dyed her hair blue tonight. She's freaking out. She's like, "As my husband," and now she's on camera back there with her little Smurfette head.
nice.
Hi guys.
At least she has hair. But like we talked about earlier, like Optic, right? That's the only way like I would buy Optic is if I bought it at retail. I'm not. Somebody was saying that they saw blasters of 1920 Prism basketball, right? So blasters $20, and they were god awful this year, selling for $60.
Dumb.
And people were paying it. That's the thing. Like,
And even though we've done the math before on people that are selling for 40, knowing your net for all of your, so now you're basically making a $20 bill, $25 off of it. But it's one of those things, though. People are reaching for that Wonka's golden ticket. What if it has the Zion or the Ja or anything cool that I might be able to stick in a box and hope that it appreciates when some dude hits a triple-double with a 50-point night?
Yeah.
It's...
No, it's crazy to me. There's also too, but it's driving business to, I guess, different avenues, and more people have access to retail, I think, than before. And sometimes, the hobby shops, just sometimes aren't in the area. Tops 2020 Tops came out last week. So a week later, at Brent and Becca tweet out 92 cases opened. 92 cases of cards. Only 11 camos in 92 cases. Like, you know how many cards like that is? Like,
let's do that.
You're getting 460 out of a jumbo box, right?
That's a $250,000.
Right?
So
Yeah, just
I missed out on a camo parallel I was looking at for the Oakland A's team card, and I picked up the yellow and the purple from Walgreens and Meyer, and I thought about getting vintage and camo and independence, and to me it's just like, with the rising cost of the team sets, basically tripling if not more over the last 3 to 4 years, plus all of the parallels I want to pursue of McGuire and autos and relics and stuff. I was just like, to go get those 5 cards that I was after, 6 cards, it's gonna be another $100 bill, and it's like, is it really gonna make my collection quote unquote more complete because I have them? And then to see Brent say I pulled 11 camos out of 200,000 plus cards, it's like, are you kidding me? What are the odds of those even surfacing, and at what cost? And if you get that one, then you got to get the next one. And what are you going to do with half the parallels and not the other half? At what point do you just say, you know what, I'm not even going to dive off that cliff. I'll just focus on what I planned on.
Yeah.
What I didn't see is did his other distribution of color, I know he said overall it seemed to be a little bit scarce, but was his other color that scarce as well? Is it truly that much additional production that
he hadn't tweeted out a ton of stuff, some of the hits, just because he was going through so much product, and I was gonna send him a couple questions and to get some more details when he had the time. But I mean, just open the 2 cases I opened. I pulled one Father's Day and one Mother's Day. No camos. Like, blacks were super rare. It's even the gold parallels. Like, I think I got those were like super tough.
a
couple years ago they were 1 a pack.
I must have got pretty lucky. I just did one blaster, so I'd have something for the YouTube channel and to get some actual photos for the blog. But in my one blaster, I got a Independence Day, which I must have been pretty lucky then.
I didn't pull one of those, bless Chris Torres trying to put together his set. So, that's going to be. There is a lot of this stuff out there, and I talked about earlier on Twitter today. Series 2, my distributor was like, "You're going to get a box of Jumbo and a box of Hobby," and I'm like, "Well, no, I ordered a case of each. You hooked it up on Series 1." And I emailed my guy, and he's like, "Hey, it's really tight at this time." And I'm like, "Dude, just tell me it's because of the guys coming out." Which is fine. But tell me that. Don't tell me all of a sudden that Series 2 is cut. They do make a little less of Series 2 an update than they do of Series 1. It's just kind of the way it's been. But
when you're in your pre-order window, I don't think they have that much of an increase in pre-orders that are cutting you all the way down to there.
No, and so I went somewhere else, and I just did one, and it made me rethink: do I even want to open it? Should I just sell the boxes? Because I talked to my LCS. I'm like, "Hey, can you?" He's like, "Yeah, it's going to be about $200 a box, though." A jumbo box for $200? You're nuts. He goes, but Tim, that's what it's going to be in June. I'm letting you know now. And I'm like, cool. All right, well, we'll talk then. But I can't. It's insane to me. Like, what is happening where flagship baseball is scarce?
That's one of the reasons that I've shifted to the approach that I'm taking this year and not doing the pre-orders of my cases. And I'm just going to go after getting some of the complete sets on the secondary market and focusing more on collections, because it was towards the later half of last year. I was starting to see the writing on the wall. And, I just can't, I wasn't going to mess with it. I lost my patience with trying to do some of that stuff. And so that's a big driver of why I've shifted my focus a little bit more this year. I still want to get those complete sets, but I'm not gonna to chase down or try to worry about, am I going to actually get this, or is it going to get allocated or not? Am I going to get cut or not? And just kind of stop.
No, and so, I was just like, to me that makes zero sense. And we'll talk about it later. And I found another avenue to do it. I'm just not going to do as much of it, which is disheartening to me, because I had a lot of fun doing it. Except for when I had to then sort all of the base as I was going through there. I go, man, this is a ton of base. Like 6,500 cards is no joke.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if you had a friend who lived 25 miles up the freeway that you could have called and said, "Hey, come over for a few hours." Imagine that.
Steph lives in Texas, man.
Imagine if you had an acquaintance that you moderately can tolerate for cheap labor.
Mike's in Illinois.
Yeah.
Imagine that. You know what? Screw it. You're on your own, dude. Buy your Series 2, shove it right up.
I had fun though. You know what it was? Is B wanted some time. Like we with the kids, man. Like we get very little time, which is the two of us, and so we were watching. To be honest, Flip or Flop on Hulu, just burning episodes. And I'm sorting cards, and she's trying to spend all of my money on, like, hey, we can tear down this wall in the house and blow out that and do this. And I said, well, how about this? We just sell this house and we just get a different house. That would be a lot easier than blowing this wall out and that wall. And because I was like, I want a bigger office. I need more space. I need more space. I need more cards.
Not if you can't afford Series 2, you don't.
Not if I can't afford Series 2.
The hobby is saving you a ton of home repairs. Just think of it that way.
Yeah, shit. But I thought it was nuts, man. And I in between Series 1 and 2, like I really want to do a show with Brent. I want to get him on here and talk about like what it's like to sort 6 bazillion cards, because doing a 1/1000th of what he did. I want to understand what that's like, and then what he thinks about this, because I want to know what he's getting cut. There was a dude that hit me up on Twitter that said last year he spent $350,000 on cards, on buying cases from his distributor. He is getting cut on everything, and I was like, dude spent $350 and they're still getting. Something's wrong. And then like
you pass that cost down, right? I mean, a few years ago, I always asked Brent for all of the major releases that he breaks. I said, hey, I need the master team set. And then for like the flagship, I need parallel sets, right? Gold, rainbow foil, gold foil this year. Last year, the 150th anniversary. Stadium Club, I want the red foil or black foil, whichever one's the more common of the two. So it's pretty simple, right? I try to get these parallel sets, and Flagship used to be about $35 to $45, depending on the size of the set. And that was, Series 1, Series 2 update usually got a little more expensive because of the rookies. And now, last year he was at $75, $80, and I'm just like, oh, dear Jesus. But there were 5 sets. This year we're down to 4, and it jumped to over 100. And I'm just like, Tim, I think but you asked earlier in our DM for the podcast, you're like, how much longer can this go on? And it's like, it can't go on very much longer, because the problem is the people that are chasing the hits have to offload all of the secondary stuff. And as beneficial financially as it's been for somebody like Mike to be able to gobble this up in lots, and he's got a podcast, I think it's his episode 9, about buying large collections and where to find them. So definitely go give that one a listen if that's your thing, to kind of, buy up a lot of these unwanted lots, and just to kind of, grab that as an excellent podcast episode. But the problem is going to be what happens when you start to lose the people in my shoes that are trying to buy these on the secondary market. The higher these costs get, the more we start to fall off one by one, to the point where...
Or less and less, like you start to limit what you're going after, right? It's
Yeah.
just now, I'm just going to do the base set and move on.
Yeah, and then you're going to have these large case breakers that are just going to be able to move the higher end cards, and then they're going to get stuck with all the lower end stuff, all of the parallels of, using just the A's, Chris Bassett and Mike Fires and the Josh Fegleys of the world that literally even Mama Fegley doesn't want, right? So let alone if Ben starts to go away and you do that on a mass exodus of hundreds and thousands of collectors, over time, these case breakers that are spending all of this money just don't have that secondary market. And guys like Mike then all of a sudden aren't going to be buying some of this stuff because they can't move it either. They're not getting the premium stuff. Right now, people like Mike are my lifeblood, because he's buying the stuff, and I'm going to people like him saying, I will buy that stuff from you. You bought it for pennies on the dollar, and you're going to charge me quarters on the dollar. And it's a win-win for him, and it's a win-win for me.
Yeah.
What happens when he goes away, I go away.
Yeah.
And then the whole hobby, this bubble bursts.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad Mike's on tonight, because like last night I got frustrated because I was like, Twitter is turning into a flea market. So I saw over 20 posts by a guy I don't follow, but was retweeted by someone that I do follow. And I ended up muting both of them because I was going nuts. They were like 4 card lots of all cards for $0.25 or 50 cents each. It was just flooded. Like,
yeah.
I was scrolling and going like, what? There weren't even ads like in between. Like, I was praying like, let me see an ad for Cialis or something. Like, it was ridiculous. I said, and then I tweeted, I said, there are better avenues to do this stuff. Sport lots. And then you share the link. You say, hey, I've opened a sport lot store. Here's check out all these inserts from 2020 Series 1. Boom, here's the link. Or, hey, here's my blog page. I listed all the cards I have for sale. Let me know what you need off this list. And boom, we'll take a deal. Put a general tweet out. I did this last night. I said, hey, anybody looking to complete a Series 1 set needs singles, send me your list and we'll work out a deal. Simple. Like, I can go then pull the cards. We can have a private conversation. I said, yeah, I can get you these 100 cards for this. But why flood Twitter with, hey, I have this 1960s best of the decade insert. I have a 70s one, and then I have an 85 Kyle Lewis insert.
Did they make the sale?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I started muting it.
Right, and I think it's one of those things for me that I'm conflicted about. Like, on one hand, I'm all for, hey, if you find a platform that works and you can find a buyer for those cards, go for it. At the same time, it annoys me as somebody using Twitter to see all of that as well. And I don't want to see that. And so I don't typically try to sell, make those types of listings in my Twitter feed. it's one thing to say, yeah, if that's what you're into, follow those users and you can get exposed to that stuff. But when you've got other people that you follow that you do care about what they have to say that are retweeting it and still flooding your timeline, yeah, it's one of those that I don't know. Well, part of me says go for it, if you can find a buyer, and the other part says, yeah, that's super annoying. There's better ways to do it.
Why not just in one thread where you can then tweet out Mike saying, look, hey, I just got a big inventory of 63 Fleer, right?
Yep.
And I know that there's going to be a lot of people out there that are interested. I'm going to add tweets times 12.
Yep.
And then you can tag people on your initial tweet saying, hey, Ben, you might be interested. Or retweet this for me, please, because you have more followers or things along those lines, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not trying to block anybody. I don't think you or Tim are either. We're not trying to block anybody from sales. I love those to a degree because that's where I can buy cards. I just have tweeted out stuff over the last 48 hours of people who have sent me stuff that I've paid for.
Yep.
That I'm appreciative of because they cut me a deal. It was a win-win. There's nothing wrong with that. I just don't want to see 50. And again, it's those 50 cent, 75 cent. There was a guy on there that was selling dime cards, and I made a comment once. He eventually unfollowed me. It's just like, I don't need to see your 1991 Fleer. Nobody likes 91 Fleer outside of Bo. Bo loves 91 Fleer. He bathes in it like Demi Moore and Woody Harrelson on the bed in the What movie. But, good for him. Bo can have it all. He can have his 1 million 1991 Fleer project once he's done with the Cubs. But
That'd be easy.
It'd be easy. You go in the back, dumpster diving out behind an LCS shop. You got it in an afternoon. But come on, man. I just don't want that anymore. I don't think anybody does because I'm there for the content.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
And I hate blocking people, but at the same time, I had to mute. I think I muted the person. And the reason being is then I'm going to miss out other cool things that could add to the hobby.
Yep.
Or it could be somebody that enjoys the show, and now I'm going to miss out on something because I have muted because it was just so much an abundance.
Do you know if you mute a conversation, if that also mutes people retweeting subsequent tweets like Ben was talking about?
I don't know.
Or if it's only the original.
Let's try to mute Ben tomorrow, and we'll do a test.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I know that I had muted the word Gary V. I could still see his tweets. Seriously, I did this a long time ago, right? I'm not trying to troll you, Mike. I'm being serious, right? I had muted Gary V and variations thereof, right? Just the initial V and then VEE and for a long time I would see a tweet of his, right? And or somebody would say something and I would click on it, I would view the tweet. And all the responses were blocked. And I'm just like, what the hell? Does Gary have me blocked? And then I realized one time when I went to unblock Aaron Judge from 2017 to see, there's no reason not to because now he's no longer the flavor of the month in the hobby. And I realized Gary was muted or there certain words. And I'm like, no wonder I can't see anything. Like, dum-dum, unmute that if you want to see it. But yeah, I don't know what all the rules are, but it helps alleviate some of that. I finally had to block a few different sale-only accounts because, there was that one takeover account that I won't mention his tagline, but he was a nuisance, and then he had some very inappropriate marketing tactics with a woman's chest. And I'm like, dude, now you're just being raunchy, and I can do without that in the hobby. We just don't need that. A card will sell on its own merits. You don't need your girlfriend to promote it with her bare chest.
What about my bare chest?
I love that. That's different.
Okay.
That's different. I mean, some nights I watch Austin Powers late at night when I miss you. And sometimes you get in your car in the morning and you hear my voice.
Oh, God, I almost wrecked my car this morning. Get in the car, turn it on. Instantly, I hear this jackass on the radio. I'm going, why is this going to be such a bad day?
He texts me because I was on the phone and also I got a voicemail and I'm like seriously, when I saw a voicemail pop up on my phone at 7:35, I was like, this can only be one Jack Boo Suckweed, and I know who it is. And sure enough, I hit it, and it's Tim, and he's like, "Hey, baby." He goes,
Yeah.
"Why is your voice the first thing I'm bleeping hearing on my?" And I'm like, "Good morning to you too, darling."
Yeah, no, and it was funny because then he was a local show host that blocked Ben for Ben being a jerk, and then they Facebook hugged and all this stuff, and then he was on the show, and then the best thing is Ben's like, "Hey, I got a question for you," and Ben starts asking the question. He lets Ben kind of get into it, and then he hangs up on him, and then made fun of Ben for a while. I'm gonna go back and I'm going to see if I can pull the YouTube video because they go. Like they talked about, well, is this Ben or is this dumb Ben? And they're like, oh, dumb Ben. And so now I need to get these little audio clips of other people saying dumb Ben so I can hit the show during our show I can hit the little voices and they can talk. So I'm going to reach out to those guys because I'm pretty sure that they would be favorable. By the way, Ben's probably never getting on the show again because J Mars, he realized that you're the guy that went after Con. He goes, oh yeah, that guy's never getting through ever again.
I listened to it on YouTube afterward because I had on the Bluetooth and I couldn't hear what they had said. So it's all in good fun. It's funny, man.
Yeah, Dave. I to be honest, I like Dave. He's like one of us, but he has a radio show and he gets paid a good amount of money.
And when I mentioned we had the podcast before I went on there to argue with him about Clutch, he goes, "I've listened to your show before." So, I don't know if he listens to this, but he listened when we had the guy who just opened up the hobby shop.
Yeah, Ryan Card Collector too. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like a year or so ago. But no, I like Dave, and I thought it was innocent trolling, and like you said, we Facebook hugged.
No, it was funny, and you know how much I like Facebook. So, real quick, as we're gonna wrap it up, there's a couple of segments that we're gonna push next week, or a couple topics because I think they're kind of evergreen. So we'll get to those. But Valentine's Day is Friday. Forget our wives. What are you buying yourself to celebrate Valentine's Day? Mikey, what is there something on Valentine's Day like, hey, I'm gonna go and celebrate Mike today, I'm gonna love myself, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna go buy something off.
Treat yourself.
Reese McGuire did that, and we had
don't love yourself like Reese McGuire, but treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
Love that. Best line from that entire show, by the way.
No, I don't like Valentine's Day. I can't stand it.
It's a dumb day, but you could use an excuse to go and say, hey, I'm going to buy myself a blaster. I'm going to go buy myself a collection. I'm going to look on OfferUp and see if I can find something. I'm going to go down the LCS. I'm going to buy myself that 180.1 touch to put this card in. Nothing?
No, to be honest, I wish I had something, but that did not even cross my mind.
All right. Well, maybe you got a couple days. Maybe your subconscious will think it through, and you'll go pick up something, even if it's a pack of penny sleeves, and you're like, just this is how much I love you.
There you go.
I love myself for 50 cents. Ben, what are you going to do to celebrate Valentine's Day for yourself?
I don't know. I get so many cards all the time. I'm probably going to prepare for a special Sunday showcase that About the Cards is in the works of potentially having. We're reaching out to a very large. You want to talk about hobby legends? We're talking about a huge hobby legend.
I'm already on the show with that.
I know. All I can say though is if we get this person, this will be a major score. And the only hint I will say is she's a hobby legend. She is a hobby legend. So,
interesting.
How many hobby legends are out there that are female? So we're with our co-host's wife not included. There's one super hot hobby legend. We're gonna see if we can get her on Sunday because she's on the East Coast and we're not.
Who
do you think?
We have another show we're doing Saturdays now, so we like to burn at both ends.
We do.
I usually before I was just kind of like casually collecting or buying cards. I'd always buy myself a box of Heritage until Otani debuted in 17, when the box that was normally $80 to $100, which I thought was reasonable for a Heritage box, right? Like I was okay with that. Went to $150, something like that. And I told my wife, I said, normally we would do like gifts, and she would when we got together, then she would buy the Heritage box for me, right? And I was like, you're not doing that this year. I'm not allowing it. You can buy the complete set from Brent. Here's the eBay site. Like, here's the link. Just buy this and have him ship it, and we'll call it good. Which is probably what I'm going to give myself this year is the is the hobby set, and then I'll try to run down some. And it doesn't come out till I think the 26th, so it's a little afterwards, a little late celebration. But I always kind of put Heritage and Valentine's Day together. So
Yep.
But the Hobby Hotline is going to be on this Saturday on YouTube. Now 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. East Coast, and 10 a.m. Central. Steph will be on. Hopefully he has the monkey flu is going to be gone. Mike will be on.
Yep.
So you get to hear his voice. Val from NASCAR Radio will be on talking NASCAR. We're going to talk about the cars that go zoom, zoom, zoom.
That's right.
And then Drew's going to be holding it all together. Poor Drew. So we'll that's going to be a lot of fun. Come and check us out. Follow us on Twitter. The Hobby Hotline on Twitter. Follow if you subscribe to the YouTube page. We're on iTunes. I saw we're starting to pop up now on some of the other podcast sites. Follow us there. If you do, send us a DM on Twitter or email hobbyhotline@gmail.com with the screenshots, because we have some giveaways this week that the Hobby Hotline's doing. Mojo Breaks giving away a jumbo box of Series 1. John Newman from Sports Card Nation is giving away a blaster of Prism Basketball 1920, which shit's going for $60 now. He's giving one of those away. And he's also got a $20 bill. He said so somebody can go buy their own blaster. Which is pretty awesome. So those are going to be given away this week, and so subscribers and followers and all those guys are going to be entered in. Be a big long list. We're going to do this. We're going to run it on the show and give those prizes away. So that'll be very exciting. So any final thoughts before we head out tonight, fellas?
No, I was just going to say thanks for having me on. I'm glad I can be the last minute fill in for the monkey flu, and so
best reserve ever.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no, we appreciate Mikey Mike for coming on short notice, because it was really not planned as of like an hour before the show.
Legit, I'm an hour before the show. Hey, can you come in? Steph said, I can't go tonight. His voice was shot, and so he hops in, which is great. Mike, we always follow you at Mike Summer. I'm at the Mike Summer on Twitter. The Wax Pack Sports Card Minute, right? That's out there. So that is a great podcast, 15, 20 minutes or so. He's got shows out a couple times a week, it looks like, I think now.
Yep, Tuesdays and Fridays.
Love it.
Great content.
I feel bad because I'm an episode behind because I didn't get to listen to the show on Friday. So, but it's the guy, you're doing great work.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if you're looking at selling on ComC right now, what is it, a 3-part?
Yeah, 3-part. Yep, I did buying last week, and then this week we focused on flipping on Tuesday, and Friday's episode is going to be about submitting cards on to sell on ComC. So I did a 3-part series on ComC.
Which is awesome.
Yeah,
so
a lot of good content.
Unlike on this show.
Just waiting for a really good guest to come on.
He had one. Bo was on there.
You're right. He had James on from ComC.
Yep.
He had James on. 1 out of 2 is not bad.
He and Ryan did a cross promotion show.
Yep.
1 out of 2 is not bad. Yeah, the spot with Ryan, the interview with Ryan, and I was curious what the hell was going on because I kept hearing a bleep, and I'm like, what the world? And I realized, Ryan's on and Mikey's.
Now, Mike, did you do that or did the site do that for you?
Ryan did it for me before he cut it. Yeah, we talked, and he's like, "You want this cleaned up for your show?" And I'm like, "If you don't mind, that'd be great." And he's like, "Yeah, I'll take care of it." And so he cleaned himself up on that. So
nice.
Yeah. Well, hey, real quick, I brought Steph in just so we could all get the monkey flu together by Steph. So
hey, real quick before we wrap up, we did have a question in the YouTube chat. I think we should cover. Give it a few seconds.
Yeah.
John P. It said some really nice things about our show, and we really appreciate his listenership, his viewership, his support. John, it's great to have you on board. John's getting back into collecting after a short hiatus. I think he said he was out of the hobby for about 3 years, and he found our show and has kind of got back into the hobby. So welcome back, and we hope that we can be of assistance in any which way, shape, or form. But he's collecting hockey cards, and maybe it's a good time to invite James Kikowski back on. We haven't had him on in forever, and do some hockey. But he also wanted a question about how far should he expand his collection beyond just hockey, venturing into other sports? And what are your guys' thoughts before I give mine?
I think it really just depends on your own preference, what your budget is, and how much you really, care about those other sports. Are those other cards going to be meaningful to you? If it just becomes one of those things that you just feel like you're going to find yourself having to have more and more and more just for the sake of having more, maybe you might want to limit it. But if there are certain players, certain teams in some of those other sports that are more meaningful to you, then yeah, sure, go after it, have at it. I'm predominantly a baseball collector, but I've got some basketball and some football and even a little bit of hockey and NASCAR as well. And so, but I don't go, near as far with those other sports. So it really comes down to a personal decision about what's going to make you happy, what you're going to enjoy, and how much budget you've got to spend.
Yeah, I mean, I can say this is like I'm a big time baseball collector, and really flagship sets are where I'm at, and then Royals and Giants cards. But I kind of the last few years got back into basketball collecting, but I picked one set and I did Prism basketball. One it's one of the more popular ones. I like shiny.
Beautiful, yeah.
You can build a set pretty easily. The rookies are going to hold their value. That's the rookie card that you're going to want. So there's some cost involved there, but the singles of the other guys aren't that difficult, and it's a lot of fun to kind of have that like thrill. Like, am I going to find it? How am I going to do this? What's it going to be like? So that's been super fun for me. I've completely stayed away from football just because I didn't get enjoyment out of it anymore. I'm not sure if it, the cards, the price, what I was receiving when I was opening boxes or collecting, it just kind of lost its luster for me. So that went away. But what I can tell John is dip your toe in a little bit, but what I would do is do it in a very inexpensive way. Like Mike said, or if you have like a team or a player or somebody that you kind of want to go in that way and try that out, or go buy a 20, spend, take say $20 and go buy a couple fat packs or hangers, or buy a blaster and open it and see what you want. But research online and see like, hey, is there one product that kind of stands out to me? Like, I enjoy these hockey cards, right? If he's a Series 1 and 2 hockey collector, then he might like flagship baseball, right? Or if you're into the higher end, the mid to high end stuff, maybe you want to roll after, I don't know, like a museum or something to that effect. So it's like, try it out, see what you find, and what excites you and what makes you, like Mike said, what makes you happy. That's what it really comes down to.
Yeah, I had to pare my collection down over time just because I was getting frustrated with stacks of stuff I didn't need. That was my personal choice. I was seeing stuff, boy, I'm never going to touch that stack ever again. If I'm not going to build the set, why do I have it? I asked myself a series of questions, and basically for me, it came down to what makes me most happy. And I think we all have to ask ourselves that, whether it's venturing into other sports, like both of you guys have done it at some point to some degree. I know, Tim, you're going back and collecting a lot of complete sets of football through the 80s and beyond. There's no right or wrong way to collect. You just have to find your own way. And yeah, like Mike said, there's a lot of variables, whether it's budget, time. At the end of the day, experiment a little bit. Don't go nuts. You don't want to get stuck with a lot of extra stuff, but have some fun. And if it's one player that you love, if it's one team that you love, if it's one sport that you love, if it's collecting insert sets, complete sets, you just kind of have to ask yourself, how much money do I have? How much time do I have?
And you can't collect everything. Trust us, we all tried to collect everything when we got back into it, and we just got bulldozed. Mm-hmm. And you just can't do that. So it's pick and choose. Collect all of the sport you love the most. That's what I can say. Whatever you love in that sport, collect it. If you want to venture out and find something else, like I don't collect hockey, but I've dabbled in it just a little bit, and it's going to be is Series 1 or Series 2 for me. That's why I know I'm going to be comfortable with and what I can do and see it. So
it's a good question now. It's a good question because it's one that we all have to deal with. And to be honest, John, it took me, when I came back in around 2010, it wasn't until the end of 2012. For Tim, I think you have a similar story. It took a while when you came back in, because it was. Don't be upset with yourself or get frustrated if 2 or 3 years down the line you're like, I still don't have a general focus of my PC. It may not be as laser focused as mine.
It took you a decade to get there,
but it took me a long time to figure it out. And yeah, there's a lot of bumps, and even still, you start to stray a little bit. Like, oh wow, Topps Living, that Ted Williams, that Jackie Robinson, those sure are pretty. And this is the kind of set that speaks to me as a set collector from the 80s. And do what it's your collection, it's your personal collection. There's no right or wrong. Have fun with it, because after all, at the end of the day, it's a hobby. That's really what it is.
So as we head out tonight, remember we're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and review our show on all platforms. We really appreciate that. Follow us on Twitter about the cards. You can always follow Mike at the Mike Summer. Follow Ben at our trading cards. Follow Steph at Junk Wax Twins. You can always follow me at Big Chef 79. Please make sure to share your hobby stories, great pulls, and send any questions our way. Keep collecting. We're going to give away the $50 gift card from Vintage Breaks. We'll have the information out on how to do that tomorrow morning, which is outstanding. Leighton and the guys over there hooking it up. Remember, hashtag pack perverts. We're going to go and get these guys and get our own very own Chris Hansen guy, and we're going to have To Catch a Pack Pervert and have some fun. So, Mike, again, thank you for hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah, no problem.
Check out the Hobby Hotline on Saturday at 8 a.m., 11 a.m. On YouTube and Periscope and everywhere. So, thanks for joining us. We'll see y'all next week.